Hi friends, I am going to try to make this a very simple and very short video. I don't want it to be real long for you guys, but I do want to make this so that you guys can see the different ways that you can make a leather wrap bracelet. Um, I do believe this is 1 millimeter. This is 2 millimeter leather. I've been playing around with, do I want this lady's wrap bracelet to be on white? I think I'm going to put it on white. But I am going to accent it with the brown because the beads are very heavy brown. And I'm using my brown. This is not S. This is Eslan. This might be the Eslan. I believe this is Eslan. Yes, this is Eslan, and this is actually just Coats and Clark's. The upholstery thread, very strong. It's not going to wear like a lot of just plain thread. And I'm going to use a size 10 needle. I have a hard time threading this, but there's a trick to it. And I think we're going to use the white. Let's line up some of these and put the white alongside of it, like so. I kind of like it for a lady. I think we're going to go with that. So I have several beads. We're going to need a lot. The men's bracelet, which was 8-inch, took 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So I will probably need for a lady's bracelet at least 18. I'm also going to be using some of these as fillers. That will help not have to use quite so many of these. I do want some left over for other projects. So this way, if a woman wants to buy his and hers bracelets, I will have his and hers bracelets. We are going to start with that other bracelet. I started with 28 inches and I only cut off maybe, I believe, like 2 inches, 1 inch off from each end. That's not much. So I am getting myself a long length. You're going to want a way to clamp this down. I found it is easier to clamp my leather down. I actually tape it. So I am going to measure just to make sure I have plenty. I will still use 28 inches. And I'm going to cut that. And I brought over everything but my cutters, but this is thin, so I have my utility scissors right here. I'm going to cut it with my utility scissors. So we have it cut. There's my leather. And I have a button that I want to use. We'll see if I can get the leather through it. If I can't, I will string it with thread, and we will put it on that way. I want to use this little boat button. It's got a fairly good size hole, but yeah, it's not gonna quite go through, I don't think, even if I give it a little bit of a flattened end and then point to it. I don't think it's gonna go through. Even doing that, it's gonna be just too thick. That, and I'm not using the best scissors. I know what I did in my blue ones. Yep, nope, I don't know. I may just use a different button completely. Because I don't know if I want to fiddle around with because you can take your S-line or any really heavy cord and create a loop and loop this button on. You can do through your button, and you would want to do it more than once so that you're creating a heavy area to fasten with. Let's see if I can get through there twice. If I can get through there twice, I will do it. Yeah, this is not going to go through there twice. So, I really wanted to use this button. It's not going to go through there twice. Okay. So, we'll get a different button out. Okay, so I wanted to make sure my leather would go through this. I am using a wooden button on this end, and we're simply going to thread through both ends of our leather, and then we want to make sure that we're even. I don't know how I did that. I just threaded through and went through it. So we have our button on, and we're just going to use this wooden one. I think it'd be fantastic. And we're going to want to pull on our leather because it's kind of wanting to curl. We're just warming it through our fingers. Kind of straightens it a bit. I'm going to set my bead tray back a little farther. And it doesn't matter which way we turn this, it's going to flop a little bit. I am physically going to, let me see where you're at there. Okay. I'm going to tape that button down, and I am using painter's tape. So it is going to be taped to my bead mat for right now. We're just going to tape it down just to hold it steady. I'm going to get a very long piece of S-line because I want my hands out of my way. And there's my scissors. And I have probably about a 12-inch piece of S-line. I do want the contrasting colors on this. So what we're going to start by doing is I'm going to create a knot. And I am using double knots all the way through this. So it's going to be a surgeon's knot. So we're going to go over once and over twice. And we're going to try to keep this as much in the middle as possible. And we're going to pull it snug. And we're going to be able to push this up before we go on. So we're going to do that one more time. I'm going to cross my threads the other direction though. Once, twice, bring that down. So it's snug. I'm going to push that in place where I want it. This is why everything gets glued. Now I want this to be up there close. I'm going to release my button. Close to this, but I don't want it to interfere with the button and its movement and leave room for the leather to come underneath there. So about to the edge of the button. Now I'm going to turn this whole piece over because I want the button, or the one thing you need to make sure you keep track of is which side of your leather the knots are on. So the knots are always going to be underneath of where I'm working. So I'm turning it over and I'm going to refasten it to the, make sure you can see what I'm doing there. Refastening it to the, my bead mat. Now we're going to do the, I can't remember, square knot, that's what it's called. I am going to also tape my ends together down here. I've been using tape instead of clips because the clips leave marks on my leather. So I'm just taping them so they're not so willy-nilly. All right, so we've got two ends of our cord. This is side A, this is side B. So I'm making 3 complete square knots. So we're going to go 1A over, and I'm putting my finger here. And then we're going to make sure that tail stays over there. Even if you have to put something on it for a moment, once you get moving with it, it'll straighten. Side B is going to, which is on the left, is coming over top of side A. We're going to pick up our leather. We're coming under it, guys. We're going to come underneath that leather. And we're going to pull it up through this little rabbit hole we made over here. And we're going to kind of give it a tug. So it looks like that. Side B is coming through side A's loop. And now we're going to pull on side A and pull on side B. And it is crossing like that. Push it up, give it a snug. Make sure they're up there, give it a snug. Now, we're going to take side B, this is the second part of the first knot, and we're going to hold it with our other hand. We're going to grab side A like this. We're going to bring it underneath our leather and up through, but we're going to keep it over top of side B, up through side A's hole over here. Give it a tug so it's got a small loop. We're going to tug side A, or side B, sorry, and we're going to give it a little tug. There's our knot. So we have one knot completely done. We're going to do it again. This is side B, or side A. We're going to cross over the leather on top, put our finger right there, get a hold of our leather. We're actually going to pinch that thread in our leather. We're going to take side B, which is on the left, go under our leather, under our hand, and we're going to bring it up through. Whoops, I didn't shove far enough. We're going to bring it up through the rabbit hole on side A and pull them all nice and snug. Then we can let go. And part 1 of second knot is done. We're going to grab side B, bring it over the leather. We're going to put our finger there, grab a hold of the leather and the knot, grab side A, and we're going to bring side A over side B's thread, under our hand, up through that hole on side B, give it a tug, give it all a tug. We have the end of our second knot. Again, our third knot, side A, put it on our leather, pinch our leather and our knot, put our thread out, grab side B, go over the thread, under the leather, so we can bring it up through this hole. If it's not there, put it there, like that. Give it a tug, give this a tug, and the first part of our third knot is now done. Side B over our leather, pinch it. Come on, get out there, tail. Side A thread is going to make a loop, hopefully. It's wanting to curl. Under our thread, our leather, up through that hole on side B. Give it a little pull. Get a hold of our other tail and pull. And we have now completed all 3 knots. Now remember, we want to knot this on the back side, not on the front. So we're going to be mindful and turn this back over. Flip our button over. It's always easier to have this fastened down when you do this. And then we are going to give that a tug. We're going to make another surgeon's knot. 1, 2, and give it a tug. And then one, two, and give it a tug. We are done with this part. I am actually going to flip this all over because now we're going to be working on the very front of this. And when I tape this down, I'm going to tape those threads up out of my way. Just like that. I'm going to tape down my button and my threads. I don't want them moving. Now, I'm going to tape down my tail a little better too. So my tail is now going to get taped to my cable, my bead mat. Okay. So for now we're done with our S-line. I'm going to set it out of our way and get all of our tools out of our way because this stuff will grab everything. I want my size 10 beading needle and I want more than an arm's length. I'm going to start with just pulling loose an arm's length. I'm going to need more, but I have found if I take my flat pliers, give this a flatten, even though this is not like beading wire or anything, if I flatten that, I can usually thread my needle a lot easier. And now that I say that, I'm going to struggle on camera. Always on camera, I struggle. Oops, I almost lost it. And there it is. Get a hold of that and pull. Now, I've used this needle so much that it's kind of compressed that eye, so I want to go slow. And what I'm doing is I'm pulling through a long length. When I made the one yesterday, I used almost completely 2 wingspans. So I am pulling off about a wingspan and an arm length of this beading thread. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to be making a knot. So we're going to lose a lot and there will be a tail. So, you know, you're going to lose quite a bit just to start with. So I have my needle threaded. I have a good size amount here. And then I have a long tail, but I'm going to go ahead and kind of put more farther down because that's a lot of thread to work with. You want to make sure that you are comfortable with how much is hanging off your needle. Okay, so I have this situated. We're going to get our beads out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I have 9 out. I'm going to need more. Ten, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. There's 18 of those. I really, really wish that I had. Are these the same size-wise? Dimension-wise? They are. You know what? I think we're going to put some pumpkins on this bracelet. We'll see. I'm going to get a few out. Probably about 3. I think on the very ends we'll use those. And we need some step-up beads. And the reason I do this is so that the leather doesn't look misshapen. And there's one. I kind of want to use the same color. 2. So I have a couple of step-up beads. We're going to start with those 2. Those 2 are on the tray. Okay, let's do that and see how we go. We may need more beads as we go, but we'll address that when we get there. All right, so the very first thing you want to do is you want to take your thread and you're going to go and grab your left side. The left side is always easier to do this with, and you're going to make a couple of knots. You're going to go ahead and leave yourself a good long tail because you're going to want to put your needle back on this and sew back through. So you're going to want to leave yourself probably a good 6-inch tail or more once. And then on this side, I'm going to do a surgeon's knot because if for some reason I can't get back through a bead, I at least know that that's not going to come undone. So there's my long tail. It's also going up underneath the tape. I don't want him in my way. Okay, so we're going to shove that up. Just a hair. And then I'm picking up this bead. I do know for a fact that I can get through this 3 times at least. I have done it on the other bracelet. So we're going to gently take your time with this because you don't want to knot your thread. We're going through that bead and we're coming over the left leather. And then we're going under the right leather. And I want to get those out of my way so I don't catch them. I'm catching on enough stuff as it is, like the corner of my bead mat. And we're going to pull the thread through. And we're going to want to nestle. The first 1 or 2 is kind of finicky. And I'm going to bring you down a little bit. And reposition you. So that's what I've got. And then I'm going back over my leather, back through that bead, and under the left leather. So I'm coming over from underneath, because right now I was under, bringing my thread over through the bead and under. And I'm going to pull all of that thread through. Take your time. Don't rush it. Push it up where it belongs. And just take your time. Push it up. Pull your thread. Push it up. Pull your thread. It is going to be kind of Willy Wonka. You're going to want to kind of fidget it up in there where it belongs. Because at this point, you're just spreading your 2 pieces of leather apart, 1 bead at a time. I'm going to go back through that because this is my anchor bead. And when we are on this side, on your left, you're going to go over the left when you start through a bead. And then you're going through the bead under your leather on the right. Pull it through. And you're going to want to pull it snug. And then we're going to go back through it. We're going to come over. So what we're doing is making it a figure 8. This is the infinity stitch, and we're going to go through that bead under the leather on the left. Be careful not to pierce your leather. Make sure all my thread is not going to tangle in anything, and just go slow and pull through. So my anchor bead is now in place. Make sure everything's where you want it and give it a snug. Now I'm going to add, am I going to add green? Or do I want to do this and then my beads? Let's see. I really do want to do the metal, just like I did on the other one. It just looks so much better. So I'm using one of the barrel beads that was also in the box, and I'm going to do the same. Over the left, through the barrel bead, under the right, just like that. Pull your needle through. I'm going to straighten up my thread. Just treat it like it was a bead. Give it a snug. This helps stepping up towards that 8mm bead. I'm going to go over and under the left, just like that. Pull my thread, push my bead where it needs to be, push my needle through, and pull my thread. Instead of me coming all the way down to the end and then back up through to the beginning, I am simply going through each one twice. Over the left, through the bead, under the right. Again, over the right, through the bead. And sometimes you have to kind of push your bead down so that you can get through that, around the leather on the other side, just like so. Now we're going to start adding our beads. And you kind of maybe want to play. I don't want to put the real fancy ones next to the button because the button's going to be under the wrist. I want to save like this one here towards the top and this cute one, I want to save the real pretty ones at the top. So I'm going to put the darker green towards the bottom. It's not a real dark green, but it's more of a plain bead. So I'm going to grab my bead because this is a bigger bead. I'm going to get it on my thread. So I have my bead and my thread is right there. I'm going to put my bead in place, and that puts my thread over my left leather. Now I want to make sure I put my needle under the right side and then pull my thread through. This is why you want to step up, because that is a really big bead. And if I put that big bead up here, there's going to be a big, wide, empty space, and it will look really funky. So I'm here on my right, and I'm under my leather like I should be. I'm going to push that bead up where I can see the hole. I'm going to put my needle in it. I'm coming over, putting it through the bead, pushing the bead down, going under the left side, and pulling my thread through. And then I'm just going to put my bead where it needs to be. And then I'm going to do it again through the hole in the bead on the left by going over, under on the right, pulling it through, just like so. Give it a tug, tighten all that down, just like so. Again, over. By now it should be easy to get it through, and then under the other side. And there we are. I do have a little bit of a, where my thread is wanting to, wrap around itself. Just kind of pull back, straighten it out. And if it's too bad, pull back on quite a bit of your thread and just kind of do like that and then pull. There you go. You might want to put your threads together like that. I'm going to do one more with you, but when you see your thread doing that, just take your needle and your thread and just dangle it off to the side and run your hand down it, and that'll release any of the twists that are in your thread. I'm going to bring it back up here, and we're going to put in, let's find a red one that's not overly pretty. He's kind of cute. I like him. I think all of my red ones are kind of pretty. So let's just go ahead and do this kind of, let's just go with it. Let's do that one. So we're going to go one more with you, and then I'll hop off the camera and start beading on my own, because we're already quite a ways in. So I'm going to, again, put my bead on. I'm going to draw my thread through, which puts my bead like this, and my thread already over my leather. I'm going to bring my needle under my right side and pull all that thread under the leather on the right. That puts my bead where it should be. I'm going to push my bead up so I can get through that hole on the left or right. I'm coming up over the leather, through that bead, under the leather on the left side, and then pulling all that back through to the left. And then I'm going to snug this all down. You may want to give your leather kind of a tug to straighten it out. Give your beads a tug off to the side. Never pull straight down on your thread. You want to pull to the side that you're working on. Then again, we're going to go through it a second time. Through that hole. It's kind of hidden. Under the right side and out. Like that. I really like the contrast with the white with this brown. It's coming out fabulous. Out, up through, around the top, through the bead, under the left, just like so. Now I'm going to pause you, and when I get where I'm going to add the other beads, I will bring you back. Okay, so I am back, and I only had to add like a couple more beads to get myself to where this bracelet is going to start coming up around the side. I think I'm going to add one more bead and then start putting on the, because on a normal woman's wrist, this is going to come to about here. And I want these three to be kind of near the top. So, oops, it would help if I got on the right side of the, if you goof up, never try to go back through with the point end of your needle, because if you do that, you could stab through your thread, and that will not be good. You'll be very sad. Because then your thread will be damaged, and you don't want that to happen. So where am I at? I was coming through the second time Let me get back underneath my thing. Okay, and let me finish what I was doing. I was making plans before I even finished that pass. Okay, so we're going back through it the second time. Whoops, I'm ahead of myself. There we go. So there we are. We're on the correct side. Now let me add this bead. This is the one that will be starting up around the edge of my of anybody's wrist, whoever's going to purchase this. Again, we're going to go do this. And we're going to see just how these pumpkins fit. If they don't look right, we can take them back out. And I'll show you either to do it the way I just showed you, how to back up a bead out of a bead, or you can loosen up your end and do it that way. So I'm going to finish my second time through. Oops, I caught up in my end of my thing here. Let's get him where he needs to be. And go back through. And now we're going to add one of these, I believe they were man-made hematite pumpkins. And I need to kind of move this up a little farther. There we go. Up, it needs more tape. It's not wanting to stick. There we go. So I'm going to pick up one of those pumpkins and we're going to treat it just like any other bead. We're going to put it in there, and it may be, yeah, it is too skinny. Way too skinny. That's too big of a drop. And I don't think two of them side by side would look right. Let's see. We have plenty of these. We can play. How would they look side by side? Are they too big? Now they're way too big. Yeah, we're going to ditch the pumpkin idea. The other thing you can do, if you've already wrapped around, you can loosen your tails and take them out and slide them off. Yeah, pumpkin's not going to work, unfortunately. I'm just going to take them off this way. It was a nice idea. I don't really have any other beads that are the same size that'll work in there to complement them. Yeah, this box was pretty not really how do I want to put it? Didn't really have a variety, and I know those won't look right. So we're just going to go ahead and put the rest of these up towards the front. That's a shame. I wish they had worked. Let's put some of these nicer looking ones that have more design across the top. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 went around the side. Let's just go ahead and finish beading. And just keep moving on, moving on. I'll be back. Okay, so I beaded this up, and from the center of the button to this bead here is 6 inches. I still have to finish it off with those 2 beads. So that'll put it at almost 6.5 inches. And then you figure I'm going to do another stretch of this. So that'll put it almost at 7 inches. I'm debating on, because if I put one more bead, like so, that's adding an inch plus that is 1/4 of an inch. So it's adding over an inch, and that will put it already at over 7 inches. When you add a closure like to this, that closure that goes over this, you're adding that much of a closure on top of it. So that bead will be too much. I think we're fine where we're at. We're going to go ahead and finish this off. And I'm just going to scoop my bead mat up and show you me finishing this off. It is the same as how I put on the last one, except we're doing it in reverse. We're going to add our barrel bead, and I'm going to show you how to knot this off. Putting it on just like we did up above. Going through it twice. And we're going to bring the leather together with this barrel bead. So we're going to have to remember we're stepping down with the leather. So we're going to have to tug it in through the barrel bead twice. And I hope I'm not off camera because I'm here at the very bottom. Remember, we're going over, under, and then when we go back through, we're going over the right, through the bead, under the left. And I'm sorry if my hand gets in the way, it just is what it is. I'm picking up my last bead. Just like before, this is going to be an anchor bead at the end. Placing it right here. I'm going under my right leather. I'm coming back up through, around my right, through the bead, under my left, and I'm going back through and repeating that. And I want to snug it up to that bead right there. I'm coming back through, but I don't want to go under. I want to come out the top because I'm going back up to that barrel bead, and I want to follow my thread path. If I was to come under, I would leave a different thread going a different way. So I want to follow my thread path. So I'm actually going in reverse of what I did before. I'm coming under and going back up through from the bottom into that barrel bead, which is kind of going to be a little difficult to do because I'm working from a different angle than I'm used to doing. But because I don't want a lot of extra threads, that's what we're going to do. Now we're going to come out the top over here, just in the reverse. And this is where we're going to knot off our thread. Bring it here. This bead has a nice big hole in it. That's why I'm choosing this bead to do my knots. Snug it all up. And I'm here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold my thread in my hand. I'm going under this bead bridge right here, this thread bridge. I'm bringing my needle up underneath it, and I'm drawing all my thread through. I have a lot of leftover thread. I would rather have leftover thread than not enough. So now I'm here, I'm underneath that thread bridge right there, and I am going to do a double knot right there. I'm going to bring it down and snug it. You want to make sure that knot is nice and tight. And then I'm simply going to go through, over top, and we're going to do this again. Stop and fix your thread because it's wanting to tangle. It's been through a lot of beads and it's getting tired. We're going to follow that thread bridge again. So we're going to go under the left side, get into the next bead right there, go through and come out on top of the right. We're going to make our final knot right here. Again, we're going to wrap this around our finger. We're going to go under that thread bridge. It's kind of hard because it's a round bead, so if you have to go like this, as long as you're holding your loop, come back up the other side, that's fine. And then again, I'm going to create a knot once, whoops, twice, and then pull your knot. Make sure it's snug. And then I'm just going to go right back through that bead. Come out the other side. And now I will leave a tail because I want to be able to find that thread. And later on I will come back, put glue in here, and I will tie that off or clip it off and burn the end. Now we're going to finish this. Just like we did up here, I'm going to do 3 of the knots, and then I'm going to close it off. I'll bring you right back. How many minutes are we at? 47. So I'm going to do that off camera because we're really pushing the hour. I'll put 3 more of these knots. Remember, we want to flip this to do them. I am going to tape my piece down closer to me and do just like I did before with knotting on the top side, flipping it back over, and doing the square knots on the other side. You don't want to have your knots on the front side of your piece. You want them always to be on the back side. So I'm going to do those and bring you back because there will be some finishing up to do. Okay, so I have my phone plugged in. Let's hope it lasts. Now I have my first series of knots done. This is the back side. This is the front side. As you can see, they match. All right, I know there's a lot of strings to sort out, but it'll be all right. I'll do a video on burning off the ends and everything, or you could just go back and look at some of the other ones I've done. All we need to do here is figure out how much of a space I need between here and here to get this button through. It looks like that much, but you want to remember it has to come around the button. So I think about like that. Let's try that. Come on, spread apart, leather. That is more than enough because this leather will stretch. So I'm going to kind of make a finger mark right there. And that's where I'm going to start my next knot series of knots. And I'll bring you back. Okay, everybody. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to tie off. I'm going to put just a couple of, probably a double knot right here. Even though I'm going to put glue on these, I really like finishing off the tails of my leather with a knot. And I'm going to go just like that. And then I'm going to do the same over here. It just gives it a nice finished look. And this one I'm going to try to get all the way down to where my little knot is. Well, that didn't work. I'm on camera. Of course it's not going to work, but that's okay. I just want it to have a knot. And these leather knots, once you get them in place, do not come off. Now, what I use for glue is GS Hypo Cement. And let me show you right here on this very end one. See where I have my tail coming out right here? What I will do is, let me get, my pin with my glue on it right here. So that I have a piece of, oh no, there we go. I had glue on it. That little tiny needle on the end of your GS Hypo Cement, we are going to gently squeeze a little glue out there so we know we have glue coming out. See that little bitty piece of glue? I'm going to kind of get up inside of that bead, put some glue in there, give it a little squeeze. And then I'm also going to glue from the other way. Just like that. And I'm going to let that dry, and then I will also take all of these knots that are down here, coat them with GS Hypo Cement. And then go up in between all of this. I love the little needle thing on this because you can get right up inside those knots. And this holds all of your knots in place. And it holds this in place. So don't be afraid of your glue. Get it all up in there. There we are. And I will let that all set, and I'll finish this piece off and I'll show it to you in a minute. Okay, so I've got all my threads trimmed. I've already burned off all the ends except for these two, and trimming this last one and burning that off. So we're going to go ahead and trim this down. When you trim these, you want to keep in mind that you don't want a really big knot sticking out. This one, it's not uncomfortable against your skin, so it'll be fine. I do not like these green matches. First of all, they burn out really, really fast, like burn up the stick really fast, and they flare really bad. So once I light this, it only like stays lit for a few seconds. So we're going to do this real quick. Get that melted down. Come to this. And we're just not even really touching the flame. We're just letting the flame melt those ends back. And if I need to come in and trim them, I can. Ouch, that was too close. And then just kind of, when they're not too hot to touch, just kind of push them down. And they're fine. So anyways, that one is done except for trimming off our tail. I do have quite a bit left here. I can use them for like earrings or something. We're just going to go like this, cut them at an angle. I'm going to cut this one a little bit longer. Not a whole lot. Maybe like there. Again, at an angle. I'll save those two pieces. And it is done. Really pretty. It actually does kind of fit me. Here. Let me put this on. If I can get it fastened. I'm sorry, this is such a long video. But can you imagine if I did not pause the video? And there, it's actually loose on me, so, but very nice. I like those beads being on the top. And again, as it's worn, it will lay a little better and form to your wrist. I like that. I like how it turns. And then here's the men's version. I added an extra knot. It has the buffalo button, which I don't think Walmart carries anymore. But there's how it looks. It's like an 8.5-inch bracelet. I was asked to make bigger men's bracelets. So it is done. Really nice looking. So there you go, guys. Thanks for hanging out with me. Even though this is a longer video. Trying to get the button back through there. And I thought you would enjoy seeing one of these being made. I haven't done a video making these, and yeah, thought I'd do an updated video. Seems I'm a little bit better at it than I used to be. Thank you guys, and I'll talk to all of you guys down in the comments below. Bye, everybody.